we can read game text. I think it's interesting. I like reading the flavor text of Magic cards.
There's some fucking excellent flavor text in these recent sets. Like the current storyline involves an invasion of every plane by the forces of Phyrexia, all planes at once.
So it's, oh god damn it, it's another multiverse narrative.
Oh yeah, that's all we get. That's all we're allowed anymore.
Yeah, fuck you. You're getting everything.
Yeah.
Can we have a specific thing? No, you're getting all things at all the times.
Yeah, full maximalism. It's almost like what is it? Hyper realism? Is that that's like completely a thing that's happening all the time? You just can't escape it. It's everywhere. Everything. What was it? Everything, everywhere, all at once.
Yeah, that movie that people have polarized opinions on, but was ultimately very successful. Shit. Yeah, it's multiverse. All the fucking Marvel shit, all the DC shit. It's this endless present, and there is no future, there is no past, just an endless present. Which
that sent chills down my spine as a student of history. Nothing can go wrong if you are simply enraptured entirely by the moment in which you live.
Look, if you're unmoored from history, that's fine. You're not doomed to repeat that stuff.
No.
If you're lucky. No one's ever repeated history before.
No, nobody's ever for the last 2 decades shared memes about how, no, really, this is actually how fascism gets rolling. Guys, this is honestly how this works.
Well, we'll see. We'll see about what are your odds on fascism? What's your over-under on fascism taking control? You got 3-1 on fascism.
3-1 on fascism. I'm legitimately looking into moving to Germany for the irony of escaping fascism. I'm moving to Germany.
But then you'll be subject to the EU's fascism.
Oh no!
Nah, you'll have a nice time. You'll just be going on trains everywhere.
Yeah, fascism that provides me public transit and healthcare.
I don't know. You could go back at any moment. You don't know. It'd be funny if you moved there and then the Germans just snap,
Nein!
No! We shall unleash the beast again. It has been 70 years, but now it is time again. We must return to our cycle, Yeah. Because history repeats. You keep trying to move to escape fascism in each country. The dominoes keep falling. You just get there when fascism arrives.
I'm living in Madagascar and the lemurs are all fucking coming after me, trying to put me in a camp.
The goddamn brown shirt lemurs all over the place. They don't talk about that in that CGI children's movie where the lemurs are played by Sacha Baron Cohen.
Oh, I didn't know that was Sacha Baron Cohen.
One of them, Sacha Baron Cohen. I don't know, but I haven't seen that's an animated movie franchise that has completely escaped my. I tapped out of animated movie franchises after that. I was even as a cartoon lover. I think the last cartoon I saw, which sort of soured me, a mainstream movie animation, was the Space Jam. The new Space Jam one with LeBron James, which was also a multiverse thing. It was another fucking multiverse thing.
See, I think that there can be a film in which Don Cheadle is a principal character that I have no interest in seeing.
Mm-hmm.
That speaks very ill of that film, I think.
You will see Don Cheadle in anything.
I would see Don Cheadle in a remake of, I was going to say something horrible like Triumph of Nations or whatever the fuck that thing was called.
No. That wouldn't be good. Don Cheadle wouldn't be well suited to that. It would be funny if they did try to make like a woke Triumph of Will in order to, to take it back, like Mel Brooks did with the producers, we'll make like a gag version of Triumph of Will. We'll call it Triumph of Bill, and it will be about a guy named Bill.
It's about Bill Watterson.
Yeah, I'm sure he would love that. I'm sure he would love being. He seems like he doesn't have any hard-bitten convictions or anything like that. Incredible. Magic the Gathering. So Phyrexia has once again
the perennial antagonist plane.
Mm-hmm.
Is back again, invading all planes at once using the stolen seeds of the World Tree from the Kaldheim set. It's invading. They used a tree somehow. I don't actually read any of the fucking lore. I just like get it from the cards.
Yeah, just piece it together from the flavor text.
Yeah, there's World Breaker, the invasion tree. That's out
World Breaker, the invasion tree, like it's a tree that's smart and punches people.
Well, I think it grew. They grew it into each of these planes.
Okay.
Was how they did it.
I see.
They somehow grew it extra planarly.
So it's not like an ent. It can't get up and move and like punch people
not to
with
my
its
knowledge.
tree tendrils.
Unless,
because I always like punching trees or punching plants.
That was always fun as a kid. If you ever had a wooden sword, ever been the recipient of a wooden sword?
Yeah, I had wooden sword fights. I had a friend who was very specific. You ever had a friend who's like way into history when they're like 8 years old and they're like,
that was me,
talking about triremes and shit?
Yeah, I worked at the Renaissance Festival.
Hell yeah. I had this friend who was like, and he had very specific rules for sword fighting. Like we couldn't do freeform sword fighting. We had to adhere to some battle code, and that sort of that didn't work for me.
Apologies. The name of the tree is Realm Breaker.
Realm Breaker. He's not a world breaker. He breaks realms. He breaks
whole realms.
He breaks
not just the world,
realities. It's a fucking tree.
Exactly.
What if a tree was dangerous? That's the question that Magic the Gathering is
posing these days.
Yeah.
We were talking earlier about rules text and how complicated it's getting. 2 colorless tap. Target opponent mills 3 cards. Put a land card from their graveyard onto the battlefield. Tap into your control. It gains. If this would leave the battlefield, exile it instead of putting it anywhere else. 10, tap, sacrifice Realm Breaker, the invasion tree, search your library for any number of Praetor cards, put them onto the battlefield, then shuffle.
Oh, great. I get my Praetor cards. Get them up in there. It's so Byzantine. Like when I was playing Magic, when I stopped doing that shit like 20 years ago, it was just like trample 5/5. That's your creature. That's it. That's all you're getting.
Root Breaker Worm, 7 mana for a 6/6 trample, and we were thankful.
Yeah. Yeah, we didn't have no fancy. We didn't have no death touch or life touch or walk back or sounding. What if your Magic the Gathering creature had sounding and they had the sounding effect
instead of banding? They have sounding.
Yeah, instead of banding, they have sounding. Yeah, so someone should post. Has there been like a sex parody Magic the Gathering?
Oh, I'm confident. I am confident, especially what they've started doing is they've emphasized planeswalkers as the principal characters, and there's a number of them that go from set to set. Magic the Gathering porn parody.
I'm sure there's Rule 34 of that shit.
Of
because
course.
People will get sexually invested in anything.
I have just found Naked Nerd opening up Magic the Gathering cards.
Hell yeah, that sounds great. Naked, is it like depicted as sensual, or he's just like a naturalist? He's just
a nude gentleman wearing glasses with a scraggly mustache opening some Magic the Gathering.
What is this
cards.
on YouTube?
This is on Pornhub.
Oh, it's on Pornhub. Okay, that's great. That's
right. Searches related to Magic the Gathering. Juggalo, Gathering of the Juggalos.
Interesting. Do you think there probably is a pretty good crossover of Juggalos and Magic the Gathering players?
Oh my god, yeah. I think
this is like the Dark Carnival, but in card form.
If you brought your standard deck to the Gathering of the Juggalos, you would find an opponent.
Oh yeah.
In the correct format.
Magic the Gathering of the Juggalos, I think is that's the key thing. I would love to be someday. I'm going to make the pilgrimage to Gathering of the Juggalos because I don't know. So for some reason in my mind, Insane Clown Posse have taken on this mythical proportion of being like benevolent figures. I don't know I don't know what they are actually. They're like Christians, but they have relatively progressive values.
Yeah, politically they're very good. They were Bernie. A lot of Juggalos, and the prevailing wind within that community was to support Bernie Sanders.
That's a funny.
So they're like, yeah, fucking social democracy is tight, yo.
Yeah, clowns for Bernie.
Clowns for Bernie.
I would love to be. Yeah, hot clowns for Bernie.
I took a Vine back when that was a thing. of me walking past the line at a Insane Clown Posse show.
Yeah.
And just like my face, putting on a look of terror and shock as I walk by, and like catching the corners of people's faces as I walk by in the line. And I regret that vine. I honestly do, because like they're just idiots having a good time.
Yeah,
it's fine.
Who doesn't like putting on fright? I put on fright makeup occasionally. Just in my house alone. Where I go nowhere. I just want to feel that power.
Yeah.
That clown power that you get.
Very, very enchanted with clown power.
Clown power, that's what it's like in Dune. Desert power. No, it's clown power.
Sure, clown power.
We will use our nation's clowns.
The Kwisatz Haderach was a jester of a sort.
The Kwisatz Harlequin. And,
there you go.
There you go. The Kwisatz, and he's the king of the clowns. And he spreads mirth all throughout the universe. But he enforces it with dictatorial aplomb, and is then vastly hated.
Do they ever at any point, does somebody have a knife between their teeth during Dune?
I'm sure there's a lot of knives between. It seems like there's a knife between teeth. Have you ever had a knife between your teeth?
I mean, just a butter knife, baby. Put a little pat of butter on my tongue.
You never had a big combat knife? See, that's something I would like to do before.
I've never had a K-bar between my teeth. No.
You've never had a Wolf 3500 serrated death ream. I don't know. What do they call them? The big
K-bar.
Technical names for the K-bars. Those are the name for the big combat knives.
Knife.
Let's look up some combat knife reviews.
Sure.
Interested in some best tactical knives of 2023.
I'm on kbarknives.com. They have their K-bar State and Union knives. The Dog's Head Red Spacer K-bar. Wow, this looks like a fucking knife, my dude.
That's a real big knife. That's a real fucking knife over there. You call that a knife? This is a knife.
This is a fucking knife. You gotta see it.
I'm looking right here on gearjunkie.com. They have an article about the best fixed blade tactical knife. It's the Gerber Reserve Terracraft. Pros: classic blade shape, great sheath, surprisingly excellent handle. Surprisingly excellent.
What kind of clearance knives do they have? The Snotty Big Boss.
The Snotty Big Boss?
SNODY. K-Bar teamed up with Mike Snotty, custom knife maker, to produce factory knives that honor the looks and finish of Mike's custom-made pieces.
I like that there are celebrities in the knife world. They're a big knife, like when they go to the knife conventions. That's Snotty over there. Oh my god,
it's Mike Snotty. That's like, it's more of that atomization shit. Like there's a big, like, you can be a star of anything.
Yeah, I'm the star of knife guys.
There's a big community for like somebody I work with is talking about getting on Foot Finder. And there are definitely stars of the foot community. Do you know what I mean? So you're sexually aroused by feet. I understand this. That's a thing that's in the world. That's fine. I dig it. Get after it. And then to be like, no, those feet right there on that person, those are the feet.
If you're into the fetish, you have to be like discriminating to some, and it's interesting to see where like the community converges on what the perfect foot is supposedly. What is the foot beauty standard? Is it a smoother foot? Do you want some like corns and roughage in there in order to give it character?
That's a matter of taste, I think.
Yeah. You don't want to eat gnarled toenails, or do you want it finely appointed? I guess.
Let me get a hammer toe. You got a hammer toe?
Let me get a planter's wart.
You got something in a plantar wart? You got plantar fasciitis? Is hurt when you walk? The other one, I know these details.
Plantar fasciitis. Talk about your foot turning fascist. You move to the foot, and then your foot turns fascist. It's no good.
Fuck.
Foot fetish. That's not one of mine, but mine are weird enough that I can't judge. Foot seems like relatively innocent.
Sure. Do we want to do a rundown? Do we want to?
I'm not gonna run down my fetishes.
We can ante up.
I'm not gonna go through that. I'm not gonna do that shit. You gotta guess. You have to infer from my
Okay.
comics.
All right.
You know.
Okay.
At
Okay.
least
Yeah.
one of my
Yeah.
comics contains one of them, but you must.
Okay.
They are scattered with 300 I don't have, so you have to guess which one.
Klezmophilia. You're into enema.
Uh, what?
You're into enema. I'm gonna guess that you're into
Enema?
enemas.
No. That one's no. I don't even like enema in a non-sexual context. It's
Really?
You ever had one?
They're
It's not pleasant.
so utilitarian. If you're doing stuff back there, which I get.
Yeah. If you're bottoming,
Spend some,
sure, but it's not like a
spend some time in
pleasant
the backyard. Yeah.
experience. Yeah, it's.
Yeah.
Are you ever like, oh, that enema was so good,
Let's
fantastic
go
enema I had
again.
today?
Let's go again.
There's
Yeah.
some people
No,
that
it
are
is.
like that though. They love
Yeah.
that shit.
It's a very it's a very alien feeling.
yeah.
Like even I'm pretty experienced. So like I'm used to the wrong direction, right? Like there's some people who like instantly are like, oh, it feels so weird that it's like going the other way, right? That's fine. But the fact that it's a fluid doing it does feel very alien.
It's not it's what you're right. It's what an alien penis would probably feel like. What I imagine
It's like,
an alien penis to be.
Yeah, like it would have like what do they call that? A pseudopod.
What?
Insert into like a bacteria or something might have like a pseudopod or a flagella.
Like a cellular outcropping that forms a gooey arm or tentacle.
Yeah, a gooey phallus.
Yeah, some sort of I definitely would not like to be fucked by a giant amoeba.
Yeah,
that is not one of the slime fetish. That's right out. I don't have that.
I have seen some slime girls I like.
Sure, but
like slime girls are
think about it really. Think about it, think about the mechanics of it. That's why it could only live in your mind. I don't think it would be ultimately. Maybe some people are into that. I don't. That's not my thing.
Have you ever encountered furry art that did it for you on any level?
Oh yeah, for sure. Of course.
Yeah. There's the weirdest monster girl that I ever found appealing. There was a leech girl. And she had like these huge gnashing jaws.
Okay.
And a fat dumper. And I was like, that's doing something.
It's getting into your head. Yeah, sure. I don't know if that's furry necessarily. I guess it dovetails with the furry community. A leech is technically an animal.
It's in the same zip code.
Yeah. But I think that's it's not my main thing. But sure. Sometimes I'll see it and you're like, it's pretty good.
That's an attractive young vulpine creature. I'm into that, yeah.
But I'm not like committed to the lifestyle, and it's not the only pornography that I consume.
Sure.
Probably.
I feel like I wouldn't want to limit myself in that way.
Yeah. There's a whole world out there. There's a whole goddamn world out there. Not just the animal-faced anthropomorphic humanoids. You see, no, I think I get. I'm gonna have I've been talking about this for a while, but I have a lot of furry fans because furries are the people that like cartoons. They love cartoons. I embrace them. Come hither.
Yeah.
Let's enjoy cartoons together, furries.
Yeah, on our show too, we've got a pretty big furry community in our Discord. Like it's just like we have found it to be a radically accepting community.
Yes.
Of sex perverts that we love.
Yeah,
we love that.
Yeah. That's who I want to hang out with usually. The people that are just very open about maybe because I'm relatively staid myself. I'm relatively, I don't go out. I don't like to fuck, but I like to live vicariously through people that do.
Sure.
Which is sort of why I like being surrounded by these individuals.
Yeah, but I want to hear about the munch. I don't want to go to the munch.
Yeah, I would like to be like Andy Warhol style, perched over the munch, with little binoculars, watching it. But I don't want to be in the little opera glasses, watching people spin around on leather contraptions. But
sure.
Yeah, I don't need to be in the heat myself. I get very nervous in crowds. I feel I wouldn't do well at an orgy.
Totally fair.
I'm bad at a baseball game.
I have the same thing, and yet was a club DJ for a time.
Sure.
And so like I'd be in these rooms just full of people, and I'd have to like as soon as I left the stage, I was just like, oh god. But there was one time I was DJing at a BDSM event on Pride weekend for the Midwest Leather Association, something like that. And I was playing my set, and I kept hearing this like rhythmic sound, like in rhythm with the music that I was playing, but I couldn't put my fucking finger on it. I finally go downstairs to go to the bar and get a drink, and I turn around, and the song I had left was still playing, and they were flogging in rhythm to the music I was playing. I go, oh, of course. How did I not put that together?
That's pretty funny.
It was fun.
I imagine like little Guitar Hero buttons started popping up on the welty backs of the floggies.
Yeah, you get to play the track.
Yeah, play the sub. You know, that's have you ever played a sub before?
I played a game called In the Hunt where it's like Gradius with submarines. I've done that. Like R-Type or Gradius.
That's pretty good.
Submarines.
That's pretty good. That's pretty close. But I'm just picturing like a xylophone of subs now, and like you whip their back, and each produces a different tone. Going,
yes,
you know, yeah,
it's like the Agonophone, another Magic the Gathering reference. It was an instrument created by the overlord of the plane of wrath. Krovax had created a thing called the Agonophone.
He created a sub-xylophone?
Yeah, essentially, where it's a whole bunch of creatures of various species and sizes and genders and stuff, and they were hooked up in such a way that they would be stabbed with needles and produce screams of various tonalities, and he would play an organ called an agonophone.
That's pretty cool. I gotta say, if I was a villain, I would make my own agonophone.
I would build an agonophone.
Yeah, because you're only gonna get it's a very specific sound.
That's
so,
right.
You got to be like Phil Spector, right? You got to get that big wall of screams out there. Because we were also talking about this trend in pop music in general. Because K-pop has become very popular. Of course, hyperpop is very popular. This trend of maximalism, of very big, loud, compressed, distorted, or even just like they're rarely like, and this has been the case for a while because the loudness wars have overtaken pop music. But they're rarely like quiet parts to songs anymore. It's just sort of loud. It's all
the same. It's all the same volume. And it's because everything is now produced digitally, and to make things sound more, you just slap a fucking compressor on it and drop the threshold real low and get it output to and then slap a limiter on it to keep it from clipping. I've been doing music production for a long time, and this is something that has actually been a concern. Like I remember like watching video essays of people talking about like dynamism will die in music. There will be no dynamic features to songs. Everything's going to be the same volume and intensity, and it's going to limit the range of expression that we're able to accomplish.
Yeah. I don't know if it's going to die. I think we are probably going to experience like a dynamism reaction fairly soon from all this, because I think we've reached peak maximalism. Like, where do you go from 100 gecs? Like, where do you go from K-pop that's more, Right. Can you get more than that? So I mean,
the answer is always noise music will save us. Like, there's going to be some...
It's never done that.
Like, nobody wants to listen to noise.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to listen to it, but I feel like we should be taking cues from people being like, well, these are interesting sounds. This is my way of expression. It is completely alien to the way that we have produced music in the past. Do you remember the fucking KMF? No, is it KMFDM or the KLA or KLF?
KLF.
Took me forever to land on it, but you remember the KLF, right?
No, I don't remember the KLF. Who are the KLF?
Okay, they were like a really wild kind of goth outfit. What was their big song? KLF.
The Justified Ancients of Moo.
They did that one.
Their alternate name, Bill Drummond.
Yeah. Justified and Ancient. What Time Is Love? Last Train to Trans Central, which I gotta get into that thing. But Bill Drummond used to do this thing where he would take a whole bunch of people with no musical training. This was after the KLF was over. He would take some folks with no musical training, and they would go to a place with really neat acoustics, and they would like do exercises to try to forget all of the music they had heard in their life. They were like, we're going to put this out of our minds, and we are simply going to create what our conceptualization of music is without the history behind it, without all of these constraints that we've all learned, because there's mainstream music education, right? You all learn middle C, right? There's all these little concepts that we have in music.
But and when you get inexperienced players who don't know what they're doing, sometimes it creates magic, like the Shags or something like that.
Yeah. And so he would take these people out to like a parking garage, someplace with neat acoustics, and they would just like fuck around with making noises, and they'd record them. They'd listen to them back, and they'd go, great. Then they'd destroy the recording, disband, and never see each other again. It was like a music exploration tour that he would do with people. KLF was fucking cool. Bill Drummond seems like a pretty cool guy. I wonder if I'm gonna find out he's a sex pervert right now on Wikipedia.
Who knows? Yeah, I was reading about John Peel the other day, and then I got to the middle section of his Wikipedia page and was like, "Oh no, I didn't know this before." And now my image of him has changed, even though I don't really have any great stock in him. I don't know if there's any like big disillusionment moment I've had when I found out an artist was a creep or not. Like, sure, I like dither over whether I can appreciate their stuff or not, but it's never been like I've never had like my hero has been taken down, in my like, especially because all of the people who I would, admire most in music generally have been thankfully untouched, thankfully. Yes. Oh God, they're not a creep. I can enjoy this without any I don't have to think about problematic things about this artist.
If I ever found out that Tomas Bangalter was a sex pervert, I would lose my mind. I would lose my grip on reality. But he's such a recluse, French. I'll never find out.
Yeah. They have such great French names. You are Thomas Bangalter. de Cristo. I love Bangalter because it sounds like the French version of banger. It's he's a real Bangalter. Bangalter.
I don't know. I never knew how to pronounce his name. You probably,
Bangalter. Yeah. I'm pronouncing it Quebecois style because that's the only French I know how to speak.
Fair.
That's what they tabarnak. That's what they taught us in school. L'école, dans l'école, les enfants, les élèves sur l'école. De la ponte, c'est quand au Parc Canada. No, I'm just saying.
Je parle français un peu.
Un peu. There you
Very
go.
small poo. I started taking Swahili again on Duolingo.
Okay.
I took it in college, and I was talking to my long distance partner, and she was like, they probably have that on Duolingo. You should just like get back into it. And I've been having a good time picking up little words and phrases again in Swahili. It is wholly a personal project because I know nobody that speaks the language and will likely not run into anybody anytime soon. That was kind of the problem with it because I learned it all through college and then I just never had an opportunity to practice it.
What's drawing you to Swahili?
I was originally going to study in East Africa was my plan. I wanted to like do academic work in East Africa. And then that died along with all the rest of my dreams. And so I ended up not.
Yeah.
Now I'm a podcaster. Woo!
Yeah. You don't need to go to Kenya. You can go to Chicago to learn Swahili.
That's right. Yeah. I could do that.
That's where I'm sure there's like heavy African. There must be some African community. You should go around there and say, hello, I'm a white lady.
Hujambo.
They'd probably be into it,
Yeah.
Who knows? You should endear yourself to the Swahili community of
There was one time a friend of mine introduced me to some Somali folks that she knew.
Mm-hmm.
And Somali is a similar enough language. It's not exactly Spanish and Portuguese, but it's, there's shared vocabulary. Yeah. And so she mentioned, oh yeah, Audrey, took Swahili in college, and I went nimesahau Kiswahili nyingi, which means I have forgotten a lot of Swahili.
Mm-hmm.
And she just looked at me and very plain English looked at me and said, "Why?"
What are you gonna do with this? No, it's good. You should learn languages just to learn them because your mind literally expands because you have new words to describe something.
Absolutely. One of my favorite things to say that you have a headache, you would say "naumwa na kichwa," which means my head is biting me.
And then you learn great idioms as well because idioms don't translate that well. So
yeah.
Oh my God.
I love that shit.
I get impatient with any new language. I can't do Duolingo and stuff like that. People should just learn English is my feeling. You know, it's the one that I speak already. It would just be easy.
Right. Well, a lot of folks do, and a lot of folks, do learn the language.
Yeah, that's what's really great about speaking English is that you basically have to speak it everywhere as well.
Exactly.
So it's like
a Dutch guy and a Japanese guy meet in France and speak English to each other.
Yeah, I can go to Qatar and get along perfectly well because everybody speaks English there.
Yeah.
And in fact, I plan to go to Qatar, and I plan to frequent their many gay bars I've heard they have there. Many great gay bars I've heard they have in Qatar. See the nightlife. I'm sure there is, though. That must be crazy to find, but I'm sure they're reticent to talk about it to any sort of Western media figures like Vice. Even though they're folded now, they're done. They're over.
Yeah, today I read that they filed Chapter 11 bankruptcy.
Boom. Gavin McInnes's dream. Down the toilet.
Dead. Yeah, I used to love Vice, actually. Like, I used to read Do's and Don'ts. Like, I used to be real into that fucking magazine.
That was Gavin McInnes's, that was his column.
Was it? Okay.
One of his, I guess he contributed. I don't know if he was reading the issues you were doing. But, Gavin McInnes, before he went fully right-wing, he's funny. That's the thing is, like, people, you can be funny and still be evil. That's like a problem people have. I've noticed that people think that funny, just because you're funny, you're good, or just because you're evil, you can't be funny. No, funny is like a neutral thing. It is not morally one way or the other. It is a reaction to something unexpected.
Donald Trump is like low-key actually very funny.
Yeah, he's very intentionally and unintentionally the funniest president of all time.
Absolutely. Bing, 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 bing.
Yeah,
Shit
he knows what he's doing. He knows how to tell a joke. He learned that much.
Yeah.
Or even if not tell a joke, just say things in a very peculiar way that makes your brain surprised, in that way that humor makes you surprised.
There is not an American alive during that administration who will not, when you hear the word China, you will hear it a certain way because of Donald Trump.
I can't say, I say bye-bye now. Bye-bye. I can only say it like that now. It's infected my brain. He just has that catchphrase. Folks.
You got to go up and say folks.
Yeah, he's great. He's like a primetime Glick, but also a weird conservative.
I've never heard that comparison. That's amazing.
No, but he does the same thing, but he goes really high and then he goes really low. He goes really low. Not as exaggerated, but he sort of has that same sort of sweaty quality as well.
Yeah.
That red sweaty quality as primetime Glick.
Damn.
I haven't.
People always say that he's on drugs or that he drinks or whatever. That like there's a tendency to say that. My understanding is that it's cold medicine. Is his thing. He just eats cold medicine constantly.
He's on the Bennies. He's on Benadryls. No, that's allergy medicine. What's cold medicine? NyQuil? Is he robo tripping?
He could be. It's not. I don't think it's DXM. It's the upper version, like the very fake meth.
The very fake meth. This is one of your lesser fake meths.
Yes, exactly.
This is a really fake meth. This is the K2 of meths.
Phenylephrine, I think it is.
Interesting. I've heard he rails Adderall. I've heard Adderall is his thing.
Interesting. That could be. It's some kind of upper. It's like because
some kind of prescription upper.
To be of his age and physicality and to be as energetic as he is, I'm thinking phenylephrine or maybe Adderall. Yeah,
you're on that juice.
Wonder how he's handling the shortage.
You're on that blitz. Yeah, it's entirely going up Trump's nose. All the Adderall. He's got to keep going. He's got to keep going. And I have not been following the race between him and DeSantis at all.
Apparently, DeSantis is kind of dead on arrival. I don't think anything's going to happen there.
Yeah, he's the most generic person, the most generically faced person. Like, I can't keep the image of his face in my head.
I don't remember what he looks like at all.
I know he
looks
like a less memorable version of Tucker Carlson, which is
ooh, that's a pretty good comparison. I think I'm gonna
not very interesting.
I'm not very,
but also, you know, he's I think his policies that he's enacting in Florida are too extreme for a lot of Americans. There's a reaction against him for that. The thing about Trump, which was weird, is that he was nominally, obviously he wasn't in practice, but he there were a lot of hay made when he was coming up in 2016 about how he had a rainbow flag one time. He held up a rainbow flag.
Sure.
One time. He was not expressly anti-gay.
Yeah, he would say things like, of course, gay people, they're here, they're Americans, right? And then eventually that kind of falls away, and they just sort of, by omission, they start to fill in that, like, the anti-gay stuff. And then, like,
but Trump loves gay people, though. He loves his favorite music is Elton John and the Village People.
Like, we were talking at work the other day about they play YMCA at Trump rallies.
Yeah. A song about meeting adolescent homosexuals in a public gymnasium.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
I saw a video of Terrence K. Williams celebrating at Mar-a-Lago when Trump announced his run for presidency, the most recent one. And they're dancing to YMCA.
Very funny.
And it's just it just flies right past them. They have no concept of it. Like, I don't know. They have to know that it's fun song. You have to know that the Village People are gay.
Well, do
they not know that the
Village
People are gay? There's a straight guy in the Village People?
Allegedly, the cop was straight. The lead singer was straight. He always insisted he was straight, but everyone was like, I don't know.
You're in the Village People.
Yeah, it's a little hard to get that is a funny concept. I'm the one straight guy in the Village People, and everyone thinks I'm gay.
I'm the lone holdout. All the pussy from all the groupies for the Village People.
Yeah, we're getting tons of pussy over here. I'm sure they probably, because it was the 70s and everybody was bisexual then, you know.
Right.
Cocaine made everyone bisexual.
Mm-hmm. That's why we need to bring it back.
And bring it back, baby. Yeah, cut out all the fentanyl and bring in those perfect bisexual cocaine vibes. Then now no one will mock us bisexuals. Now people will take us serious.
Yes, now.
Yeah, it's funny being bisexual because, of course, you're the worst. You know, nobody likes you. You know, fuck you. You know, you can always choose to be the normative thing. You know, so fuck off.
Fuck off. I want it all. I want everything. I want to keep my options open here. And I didn't choose this. I just looked at a wiener and was like, okay, that too. Yeah. You know?
It's funny that people hate you because of, like, the abstract moral idea that you're indecisive. Ooh, you're indecisive. Make a choice, goddamn.
You have to know. And it's like, I don't know. Por qué no las dos?
It's one or the other. Yeah. But also, you know, I do think that there are a certain group of vocal online bisexuals who do make a lot of hay about, I am oppressed because not even the gay community loves me because I, you know, once slept with someone of the opposite sex and now everyone's saying I'm not a gold star gay, and it's very hurtful. It's there's a certain, like, people that will try and leverage their bisexuality for some sort of story about themselves, but, you know, it's not that bad, you know.
Yeah, it's as far as that leverage goes, I think that is one of the, of course, as a bisexual who has done that very thing that you're describing, I'm going to try to defend it a little bit. There, you know, this is all we have, really, is who we are anymore. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, as individuals in this atomized society, all you have is who and what you are.
Yeah.
Like, I am a retail worker. I am bisexual. I am transgender. I am these things that sort of define me in opposition to all other things around me. Because I wield no power. I can affect very little change in the world around me. And so all I have is what I am. And like, you try to leverage that as best you can, you know?
Yeah, I think to some degree, I definitely try and use aspects of what I am or what I think I am to maybe not leverage might be a little too much of a transactional word, but in order to interact with the world around me, you put on the bisexual goggles. It's like how am I seeing this from a bisexual lens, or is this
read this from a bisexual
my capacity
angle
as a bisexual person?
Yeah.
It's just also the funny sounding identity because it sounds like bicycle as well.
What did they call it I was listening to something the other day and they were talking about the oppression stack. I might not be remembering that correctly.
Oppression stack?
The idea that in a room full of people, you defer to the person with the most oppression points.
I think in some spaces. Maybe I guess in right wing spaces, they'll defer to the veteran who's missing like a few legs or something like that.
Sure, a few legs.
Yeah, he's got a few legs missing. He's got more than two. He's got more than two legs missing.
Yeah.
I'm sure that plays out. I don't know if it's I was thinking the other day about the weirdest episode of The Proud Family. It just came back into when you like remember something you watched as a kid and it like comes back into your head like a lightning bolt of like, that was really weird. Why did that happen? So there was this Proud Family episode which I watched as a kid. It was on the air. It had pretty good animation.
Give me the elevator pitch for it. I don't remember the Proud Family.
So in this episode, Shia LaBeouf plays a disabled kid who leverages his disability in order to get Penny to date him. But he's a huge jerk. And like the lesson of the episode is that sometimes disabled people can be jerks. Or, you don't necessarily judge a person by their oppression category or something like that. Yeah. Which on one hand is like, I guess it's a good lesson, but it seems so weird, especially because, just with all this extra context about Shia LaBeouf, the fact that it's him playing the problematic wheelchair boy is...
Did we find the episode title? Problematic Wheelchair Boy?
I don't know. I'll look up Shia LaBeouf, Proud Family. I'm sure that will give it a.
I mean, that is genuinely a valuable lesson. It's like when you figure out that Caitlyn Jenner sucks. You're like, wow, so a trans woman can be kind of a real piece of shit.
Nah. I don't know the name of the episode. I think it's called I Love You, Penny. Yeah, because he declares his love for her creepily in the episode as well. The character's got a really funny design. The character's name is Johnny McBride. And Johnny McBride is the main antagonist in the Proud Family episode.
Is it discovered? Because the name Johnny McBride makes me think that maybe he was injured in a high speed accident of some kind. You know what I'm saying? Like he was doing like downhill racing of some kind and was injured, and this is what led to his disability.
So the Disney Wiki has a pretty good entry on this. But I'll just go to the section in the trivia. It has, because every episode of the Proud Family had a moral, and it actually has the morals listed out and has the morals in bullet points, which are
hell yeah.
People are not always who they seem. Don't assume that all disabled people are going to be nice people. Some of them can be jerks, just like able people. Which is true, but is this the major lesson that kids need to be learning?
Do we need that? Now be careful.
They devoted a whole half an hour. Did like this happen to one of the animators and they dated a disabled person who was a real jerk once? And another good lesson from the show: just because someone tells you "I love you" does not give them the free range to behave badly or walk all over you, which I think
very big advice.
But I remember that, and I think I'm probably remembering it as more. I think it does handle it with some nuance, or as much nuance as you could expect a cartoon.
The Disney Channel did.
Disney Channel cartoon. Yeah, but I haven't dipped into any other Proud Family lore beyond that. They have a new series out that I don't care about. I'm not 13 anymore.
But
I was way too old to be watching that thing. I'm 13. I should have been watching Scorsese movies by that time.
I was thinking about that. I was exposed. PBS was like a big part of my youth, and so I very young would watch Barney, right?
Yeah.
But I'd get home from school and I'd put on PBS, and what would be on? Still Barney. And I'd be like 7 or 8 years old sitting there like, this fucking sucks, but it's what's on. You know what I mean? You know the thing where you get trapped on like what's on the channel you like?
Yeah. Well, that doesn't happen to people now. They will never know the experience of being forced to get through Barney in order to watch the more, the more mature cartoons. What else was
Dragon Tales?
Yeah, the Dragon Tales. The real pithy stuff. That was meant for people with a little more know-how than this. This sharing crap. I want to see a story. They breathe
fire.
Yeah, Barney doesn't breathe fire. He doesn't kill anybody. Barney isn't capable of killing anybody.
I think if Barney had to, Barney could kill.
Barney could kill. He's got that soft body, though. I don't know. I guess it's like he's got that hard interior.
I got a soft body, and I'm prepared to take a knife.
You can, there you go. But it feels like if Barney were real, he would be just foam all the way through. Or maybe he does have an organ system. Maybe he
would blow away if he was foam all the way through. The light breeze would come and carry him into the sky.
Yeah. I guess in this scenario, he's a real dinosaur. He's built like a dinosaur. He's flesh and blood. He's got...
That's a neat insult.
Yeah.
You're built like a dinosaur.
Built like a fucking dinosaur. Oh.
Put that on
built like
insults.
A goddamn dinosaur. We need to bring back Brick Shithouse, I think. I like the...
Brick Shithouse is strong. See, where I'm from, in Midwest,
yeah,
Brick Shithouse, still a real thing. We do say this.
That's why it's the best region. It's because it's got the best lingo.
It generated this accent, which is accentless.
Yeah,
like I just sound like a standard human according to the fucked up society in which I live.
Yeah, this is you have achieved average voice. So have I guess. Or the way that my voice I present myself is just entirely learned from media or pop culture.
Right. The dominant voice.
Yeah. Whereas if you're more like, I really want a regional accent, but I can't like consciously develop one at this point.
It's too late. Too late for us.
I can't start going for that Ontario accent, hacking a dart down in the alleyway, going down by the Timmies, get a double from Timmies.
When I start doing vocal training and when I start really trying to feminize my voice, I'm going to throw in an accent. Also, why not?
You got to throw in a Chicago. You should throw in the big Chicago.
Hey, accent. Chicago.
Hey, let's go get some sausage and Pilsners. Okay? Down at the old, we're going to head on down to the Wrigley Field, and we're gonna get a little Wrigley, if you know what I mean. Gonna get a little drunk. Saying. Yeah.
Now we're kind of in Minnesota, unfortunately.
Yeah. I go the Ontario, Illinois, north. Minnesota. Yeah. Going into that Minnesota nice. You ever talk like that for a while? Just after watching a Fargo.
Oh my God, I was actually thinking about the first season of the Fargo series.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen it?
I have seen. I've seen 3 of the 4 seasons, and I've liked all of them to some degree.
They're great. They're fucking great. I like who they got to play Margie.
Wait, they got someone's Margie in season 1?
Wait, hold on. No, do I have
There's
that wrong?
no Margie in season 1.
Who's the main character?
It's the main cop lady is Allison Tolman, but she's not Margie. She is the Margie character.
Yeah.
Molly Solverson. She's Molly Solverson.
Molly Solverson. Yeah.
You think this is like an organized crime type deal? No, I love Allison Tolman. She's great. I think she should be in more stuff.
Billy Bob Thornton, excellent villain.
Yeah, got great haircut. Excellent villain haircut. Yeah. The bull bob. Martin Freeman is a great callow asshole.
Yeah. Fucking great show. I got to rewatch that shit.
Yeah, I whistle the theme song to myself all the time at night when I'm walking the dog because it's ominous.
I used to, oh my God. So when I would be walking home from campus late at night through, admittedly, the safest streets in the entire city where I lived, I used to put on fucking like ominous, scary fucking music to like scare myself walking through.
You used to put on dark ambient music.
Yeah, exactly.
In order to get weirded out by the urban.
Yeah, get a little. Ooh. Ooh, it's anonymous little streets and like the frat corner of the fucking like the danger was the other students. It wasn't.
Yeah. But you need to put on your theremin tapes in order for it to be spooky. You're Ond Martineau. Gotten really into Ond Martineau recently.
Ond Martineau.
Because of I recently listened to the Taranga Lila Symphony by Olivier Messiaen. They were playing that down at the Toronto Symphony, and I went with my
Can you hum a bar of that? See if I recognize it.
Yeah, it goes like it's very very modernist and noisy, but I should be able to hum because there are like pretty melodic sections, a lot of hooks. Which they feature the Ond Martineau very heavily. And the Ond Martineau usually defines the melodies for a lot of the sections because it's a melodic instrument. You can only play one note on it, and it usually is doubled with the flute, and it gives it a very haunting, mysterious, ethereal French quality.
OND Martineau?
ONDES. Martineau. The other proponent of it is Johnny Greenwood from Radiohead uses.
Okay.
But he's sort of a weird
I
guy.
fuck with this. This looks dope.
Yeah. Electronic instruments. Weirdo electronic instruments that you don't play by touching them.
I was just thinking today that I was like, man, I got to get a 303.
A 303? Wait, what's one of those?
The Roland TB 303 bass synthesizer.
Hell yeah.
I got to make some fucking acid house with an original ass Roland TB 303.
You got to bring acid house back.
Yeah, RFTB acid crew, we'll call it. Like fucking CFAX acid crew.
What is acid house? Is it that I only know that one song from Kimmy Schmidt, which goes, "I'll beat that bitch with a bat. I'll beat that."
Yeah.
Is that acid house?
That would be acid house. Anything that has, that like real squelchy beep wop kind of bass line. Yeah. That's a TB 303. And then it uses a lot of those orchestra hits that we were talking about earlier, along with like piano riffs. And
so who's like the big artist in the acid house community?
I'd have to get a name because like all the dudes I'm into are like weird fucking German weird asses like scientists and CFAX acid crew.
Yeah,
acid house pioneers. Like who are we talking here?
Who in the 90s? In New York.
The music group Future pioneered the acid house sound with their 1987 song Acid Tracks.
All right.
Ron Hardy debuted the song informally on live playlists until it got a formal release on vinyl via Larry Sherman's seminal Chicago label Trax Records. So Trax put out a bunch of that shit.
So it does come from Chicago, where all the good electronic music comes from.
Where like, and this is something I back when dubstep was big and I was DJing in clubs and I was sort of defined myself in opposition to the broham contingent of like dance music. I would be like, the only reason you're here is because gay dudes took meth and sucked each other off in a warehouse. That's the only reason you're fucking here.
Yeah.
And then get really weirded out and offended. And I'm like,
I like
snapback, homie.
Yeah, those dominoes falling of gay, the little domino versus gay dudes sucking each other off, and eventually leads to guys with upside down visors wilding out to Skrillex.
Make me barf. There's a documentary if you're at all interested in sort of that era of dubstep. There's a documentary called All My Homies Hate Skrillex.
Really?
And it's about real ass dubstep like Scream and Benga.
Yeah, the UK two-step where it came from. Yeah. Also go like this, bruv. Guys, that's like bruv.
Governor. Oh.
Yeah. No, I remember Scream and Bang. I remember when it was dubstep was just getting popular around 2000.
Mala and The Bug.
The Bug.
And like all these. Yeah, there's a dubstep artist called The Bug.
Yeah. All these weird British rocks. People.
Yeah, I'm going to fucking tweet that link at you right now.
Yeah. What was the quality of, like, bro step that made it different? It seemed like, in terms of, like, genre maximalism, it was much more maximalist than...
Somebody made this point to me a while ago. It was my homie Michael Bart. Shout out to DJ Barticus from Athens, Ohio. He said that he observed these, like, dumbass teenagers sitting in the pizza place where he was working, with their cell phone playing music for each other off the cell phone, right?
Yeah.
So now if you play The Bug or Scream or Bang or any of this, it's not going to sound like anything because there's no fucking bass response on these tiny little speakers, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like as music moved to these smaller and smaller sound systems where people are trying to play music for each other, you needed to move the wobble, all the movement in the melody of these like LFO synthesizers. You had to move that into the mid range so that you could actually hear them
on phones that people were showing
on phones,
their dumbass teenager
like,
friends.
Exactly, or like headphones with bad bass response.
Yeah, because that is like what I remember from it, the tinny quality of it.
Yes,
I would say
there's a real screamy kind of that shit.
Yeah,
fucking.
But that like died in a year. It was
it lasted longer than that where I was from because I was trying to play in clubs. I was trying to get time slots to play, like, admittedly somewhat immature electro house. Like it was like similar sort of sound palettes, but in a structure that I was more into. It was like as opposed to the 140 BPM slow breakbeat, it was like a fucking 128, 130, 4 on the floor kind of like kick clap
disco-y
kind of thing.
Yeah.
With a lot of disco influence, actually. I was briefly in a DJ duo called Disco Disco.
Uh-huh.
We did that thing.
There were two of you, so there were two discos.
Yes, exactly. We also had a side project called Sex X Yes Yes.
That's pretty fun. Good.
Yeah. But yeah, I was trying to get time slots, and it took years for dubstep to finally die. And by that point, I had left the scene. But I feel like I really got pushed out by like shitty 20-year-olds in snapbacks who would, play the worst dubstep you've ever heard on a off of their laptop in Ableton.
It's fine. It's fine, really. There is no. It's but it got to something deep in the core of people.
It did, and it brought people out, and it sort of, that moment in a lot of ways popularized electronic music, and I am thankful for the influence that had, because all of the big acts right now, it's basically house music with like a pop vocal anymore, and so I'll take it. All in all, I'll take it.
Yeah, I mean, the one quality of dubstep that I did like, even the bro step, was it did feel like the music that people in a post-apocalyptic society would be listening to.
Sure. It's like Bangalter said about making you wanting to make you feel like you're in a movie.
Yeah.
Like that kind of thing. You feel like you're part of some science fiction thing when you're in a club listening to that.
It instantly brings you to that heightened place, but I mean, that's not usually why I listen to music. I think that's how most people probably listen to music, is for the atmospheric or for the enhancing quality of it. The fact that it colors your life in a way that makes you see like your everyday actions seem more significant because they're now being matched to a soundtrack. I think people like that sort of sense of importance that music can give everyday interaction. But for me, though, when I'm listening to music, I'm like a goddamn professor. I'm like a goddamn scientist. I'm like a goddamn... No, but it really... I find it hard to like not listen to music on that level where I'm just picking out the individual parts and just thinking about how they work together in a very mechanical way.
Ooh, that's a hell of a hook. Yeah, the kind of pulling it apart and appreciating the individual pieces for what they bring to the piece. Absolutely.
Yeah, but I feel like I fought myself out of, or like I would like to get back to the space of listening to music on a sensuous level. The composer Aaron Copland theorized 3 levels of listening to music, which was sensuous, programmatic, and musical. Sensuous is you listen to music for the feeling. Programmatic is you listen to the music because it's telling a specific story, like Peter and the Wolf or something. Although music, for some reason in this definition, like music with lyrics couldn't be considered programmatic. I don't know why. But you're just making shit up. Who cares?
Yeah.
And the musical level is when you're listening to it for the nuts and bolts. You're listening to it for the, analyzing harmonies and analyzing chord progression and structure or lack thereof and rhythms. And, that to me is always I at this point, it's the way that I start listening to music first, without that sensuous feeling. And and it's not better. It's not inherently better. It's just the way that I do it now. And I would like to get. Sure. How do you get back? Is my question. Like, how do you get back?
I don't know.
Acid? Should I take acid?
It don't hurt. Yeah, for me, for a long time, I listened to music and evaluated it for its utility in a DJ set for a long time. And it took years of just not practicing that to get out of that. So I think maybe just recontextualizing it and like using music in a different way.
Yeah. I think that's a funny frame of mind, is DJ frame of mind, when you're like choosing and discarding music based on how you think it will flow in a set.
Yeah.
Which is always totally arbitrary. It's like your taste is the only thing that is really controlling that. There are no rules for what is a banger and what isn't.
Exactly. It's what makes you feel that thing. It's that sensuous level. Yeah. Anything that makes me go and make that fucking
doing that face.
The butthole tighten face.
Yeah, the butthole. Yeah, the ooh.
Yeah, that shit.
That's the good shit.
What a hook.
Yeah. Yeah. I wish I could get more into dance music as well. But the problem with dance music is you have to, I feel like, enjoy the setting of a club as well, which I never did.
See, I never, like, for years and years. I mean, I was 13, right? I couldn't go to a fucking club, but I was real into Daft Punk. I keep going back to them. But like those first two albums and then Human After All, when that came out, I was obsessed, and I would show my friends and they would be like, I don't get it. I'd be like, you're stupid. And for years, even before I was able to get out to a club environment, I would listen to the stuff and just kind of bop along. I think it probably because I am also quite obsessed with video games. And so I would just put on a Daft Punk record and play a video game.
Right. It has that sort of because it's repetitive and sort of simplistic. It has that, I don't know, continuational quality, or it has that sort of almost ambient
drive.
Quality. Yeah, it's driving, but also somehow in the background as well. Even though the riffs are very strong and they stick out in your memory, primarily because they're repeated so much and they're usually like fairly simple melodic ideas. Yeah. I mean, that's what I love about Daft Punk, and why I attribute their massive success is because they aren't afraid to get simple with it.
Yeah,
I think that's the appeal, is that sort of a Daft Punk song, it never turns into black MIDI. You're never gonna get a weird fucking prog rock section when you're listening to that.
The worst thing that you have to fear is like slamming guitar solo in the middle of your disco track.
Yeah, but I think even for like a casual listener of music, what is so great about it is it's very easy to pick out individual parts.
And they feature. I back in college, I worked with a guy named Max Boker, and he and I used to produce tunes together. And we very specifically tried to emulate that style of like, okay, so we have this synth line, we have this bass line, we have these drums, we have this vocal sample. And we're going to allow each of these to breathe in their own time and feature each of them and then resynthesize them and like bring them all back together towards the end.
Who did that a lot, and who I would consider to be the progenitor of that style and like a lot of dance music in general is James Brown. That was sort of his thing.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Well, and a lot of those
he'd give a little solo to the bass, he'd give a little solo to the guitar, and so then you could hear as an audience member the individual parts, and then when you hear them being played together, you're like, that's more pleasurable.
Yeah. And a lot of those hooks, particularly a lot of like hip hop breaks and shit, comes from that era of like soul music and shit.
Yeah.
So it all comes back together.
Yeah. And I think, further to the point of maximalism dominating, our current music or our current media landscape is I feel like you don't get stuff like that anymore in new music, where you just have like a line devoted to a single instrument for a while, where it takes its time, or it's very patient. I'm sure there's new music that's like that. I'm not well versed, but in terms of like the major pop that I'm seeing, it doesn't it usually is more focused on these big walls of noise as opposed to like little individual sections of quiet.
Yeah. And that might be a genre dependent thing too. And there's like different wings of pop music, and there's different kinds of K-pop, and like, you know, you can get very granular with these things.
Yeah.
I wonder often what influence Spotify has, particularly on my musical taste.
Yeah.
And like how much of a musical echo chamber I'm in. Because like I'll listen to Discover Weekly playlist, but that is specifically curated to be things that I will like based on the other things that I already like. And so I don't know. I don't know if we're all being trapped in our own, if we're being further atomized as opposed to the sort of union creating nature of music, where you're supposed to like, oh yeah, we're coming together over enjoying this song together. I wonder if we're becoming even further atomized.
Yeah, because now it's about, you know, I'm enjoying this song in order to because it enhances my life or it enhances my identity, not because it's a communal experience I necessarily share with other people.
Yeah.
But I sort of, there is another weird type of intimacy in that, where it's like there's a band and they only have one fan and it's you.
Yeah. Shouts out to Pomrad. I was in the top 1% of listeners of this weird future funk artist named Pomrad. Pomrad. Very good. Very good shit. Nights is the album. Very strong.
I think we atomization, you know, we experience and we feel it a lot, but sometimes I think maybe it's not that our idea of like community has been obliterated. It's just changed into something we don't really recognize yet, but will become more apparent. The structure of it will become more clear as we descend further into our digital selves. You know, I think a version of an old style community will eventually reproduce itself with this new system, because I think, you know, just things just react to each other, right? People see one thing that someone in the past was doing, and then they do the opposite to define themselves against it. So I could see, even though there are all these inexorable corporate forces pushing us apart, who knows? I think we'll discover a way to get back together somehow.
Techno optimism. I like it.
Yeah, that has never led anyone down a terrible path before. That has never. Yeah, it's not entirely built, but maybe not techno optimism so much as that. Just because we have a change,
anthro optimism, like humans will succeed in developing community.
Yeah, we will successfully fuse with the machines. No, I don't know.
Oh God, that's the
machines. Machines.
Just Larry Fishburne yelling machines.
Yeah. That's how I feel every day. You know, assaulted on all sides.
Wake up, look around me.
Machines. Go down to the bank. Machines. Yeah. See a street sweeper. Yeah. Machines. Go see the Phyrexians.
Yep.
Machines. Which I think is how we were originally talking about that.
They have the Phyrexians have pivoted to perfection of flesh.
Oh, okay. So they're into bioorganic technology.
Exactly.
Cool.
Fewer artifact creatures coming out of Phyrexia these days.
Oh, great. They're producing goo guys.
Gooman.
I'm more gooman than human at this point.
Gary Gooman, here in my goo.
Here in my goo. I feel safest of all. I can goo anywhere. I can goo anything in goo. Yeah. Don't.
Stupid.
All right. I think that's a good place to end it with Gary Gooman. Audrey, you got your plugs going on in there.
Hell yeah. Listener, you should point your podcatcher over to a little program called Radio Free Tote Bag. It's a show about relationships I do with my co-host Donovan. We field people's relationship questions with heart, aplomb, and dumbass bits. So drop your quandaries in our question box, and we'll answer them for you. We'll try to help you out. It's a good time.
Hell yeah. And we'll be linking to that in the description. Audrey, thank you so much. RFTB.me. RFTB.me. We'll say it again. RFTB.me.
RFTB.me.
That's a good NPR voice. RFTB.me. That's more pornography.
That's a little sweatier, yeah.
Well, yeah. But, that's what the show's about. It's about relationships.
Getting a little sweaty.
It's about getting a little sweaty, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being on the show, Audrey.
Of course, thanks for having me.
Oh, yeah. Have a great night, everyone, and we love you.